Good evening, viewers and listeners, and welcome to another edition of this program, Serving the People, brought to you every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on SVG TV by me, Anissa Baptiste. Let us start with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you that we can know the truth to help our people, and I pray that you would bless me, that I would speak the truth to them, that they may understand it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And now, my dear viewers, let me remind you of how you may contact me at this program. You may write to servingthepeople.ab@gmail.com, or you may telephone me. The number is 1784-528-1015. And now, in this evening's program, we'll have two segments. The first segment, we want to return in history to the last sitting of the House of Parliament on the 11th of August 2011, and we want to look continually at some of the issues which came out. I have about 4 clips I'd like you to listen to in succession, and I'll give some explanations. The first clip had to do with the Speaker's ruling when I, Anissa Baptiste, rose on a point of order while Honourable Minister of Tourism, Sobota Caesar, was supposed to be answering a question I asked. Listen to this clip.
And standing in my name to ask question number 25 of the Honourable Minister of Tourism and Industry. In light of the July 20th press statement made by the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tourism Authority, in which he answered a question posed by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition thus, and I quote, "Finally, the last question raised by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition concerning the sum of $75,000 to an artist management company in Barbados had to do with the sponsorship of the music video for the Beast Let Go performed by Gamal Skinny Fabulous Doyle. As many persons here will remember, this cost was disclosed at the launch of this initiative right here in this building." End of quote. Will the Honourable Minister of Tourism please indicate A, whether according to Section 23 of the SVG Tourism Authority Act 2007, the then Board of Directors of the Tourism Authority ever included in its annual business plan proposal for the financial year 2010 the use of the Beast Let Go video as a promotional tool for the Tourism Authority? B, whether in accordance with Section 24 of the SVG Tourism Authority Act 2007, the then Board of Directors of the Tourism Authority ever approved and implemented the expenditure of $75,000 or $40,000 for the sponsorship of the same video. C, whether the sponsorship of the video was implemented without the then Board of Directors' knowledge and approval. And D, whether the then Board of Directors were merely informed of the implementation after the fact.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that this question has been addressed to me. But I want to tell the nation that I'm indeed sad at the same time. Skinny Fabulous Doyle is a man who has attempted to take the soca art form to a different level. A young man, a man who has done his research and to a large extent is making a living from the art form. And to see that the opposition has made over the past few weeks such heavy weather of this $15,000 US for a young man. I mean, I'm not siding whether I'm a supporter of Skinny Fabulous or if I am a Fireman Hooper supporter. But the opposition is playing politics. Playing politics with this question. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I did not...
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
State your point of order.
My point of order, contents of speeches, order 36, subsection 5. No member shall impute improper motives to any member of the House. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, I am a part of the opposition. I have asked a question of the honourable member which has been permitted on this order paper. In answering his question, he is speaking about the opposition playing politics with the issue of Mr. Doyle. I never in my question, if the nature of the question is looked at, played politics. I simply asked specific questions with respect to law that has been passed in this parliament, and therefore I consider the members ranting, imputing improper motives to me as a member of the opposition, and I'd appreciate your ruling on it, sir.
I realize that this question would have been one that will create a stir in the House, noting it's mentioned itself twice, part of it in the House today. So I sat back here earlier and you realize somewhere along the line I missed the question. I jumped straight to 26 because I realized it was question number 3 was answered similarly. But let's be fair. Usually before a question is answered, someone tends to get into a little bit of introduction prior to the question.
Exactly.
And we have to be real in the House today. It's happening all the time. I can't see that we are getting into a petty argument on this particular question. And we already know that the House is not made up of footballers, it's politicians on both sides. So whether the honourable member would have stated, or minister would have stated, playing politics, or whether he would have stated that it's the NDP, we're discussing the government and we're dealing with politics, and we have to get rid of this thin-skin attitude. I will ask the honourable member, the honourable minister, to continue answering the question, please. Thank you.
Yes, did you hear that? This is important for me to address the ruling of the Deputy Speaker, Mr. David Brown. Now, first of all, let me note that what the minister had said was that, and I quote him, "The opposition is playing politics with this question," end of quote. I rose on a point of order because I disagreed with what he was saying concerning my question. Note, he was imputing improper motives to me, for in my question there was nothing that was playing politics about it. It was simply asking if certain procedures outlined in the Tourism Authority Act of 2007 were followed by the Board of the Tourism Authority in 2010 when the expenditure concerning the Skinny Fabulous video as a marketing tool was done. But the Speaker did not rule in my favor. And what were his reasons? He said things like, the question had mentioned itself twice, that the question number 3 was answered similarly. But that was not true. Question number 3 and question number 26 were two completely different questions. The first question asked Minister Caesar what became of the $35,000 extra dollars, since CEO Glenn Beach had said in his press statement that $75,000 had been spent for the video. But the Pilgrim Entertainment organization had said it was only $40,000. So the first question asked what became of the extra $35,000. My question was asking, was the board aware of the expenditure before it happened or after? Did they approve the expenditure? That's completely different. So when the Deputy Speaker said it was answered similarly, that is simply not true. Furthermore, the Deputy Speaker went on to talk about how the question, the minister was giving an introduction to his question and so on, and I was making a petty argument, and he spoke about not having a thin-skinned attitude. But those things were not the issues at all. The issue was the content of the honourable member's speech, because the rule of the House says that no member should impute improper motives to another member when he is speaking, or she, as the case may be. And the question before the Deputy Speaker was whether or not the member's speech constituted imputing improper motives. But instead of dealing with that as it is, he went on to talk about who has thin-skinned attitude and all of that, which was totally uncalled for. The issue is the Speaker still has not ruled on the point of order raised. The Deputy Speaker's criticism of the question is criticizing, in fact, his own office and the position of the Speaker, because it is the position of the Speaker and the duty and role in his sole judgment to determine which questions can appear on the paper. So if he felt that the question was repetitive and shouldn't be there, then he's actually saying that the speaker did not do a good job in judging that the question should be there. And that's something for us to think about. The deputy speaker should not be casting such aspersions on the office of the speaker itself. Now, let's take a listen to the second clip.
Mr. Speaker, I was really impressed with the wisdom of your position about politicians, and there have to be some give and take. Because when the Honorable Senator Batiste was making her objection about what she thought was an improper motive, imputing improper motive, I don't know if anybody can impute an improper motive in relation to an active politician that they play in politics. But Mr. Speaker, please. But in the very self-righteous manner in which you were speaking, you accused him of delivering a rant. A rant, because you can't say a member is answering you, and you called it a rant. I could have risen and objected, but that is part of the give and take. He was answering your question as an honorable member. He hadn't cursed anybody. You were calling it a rant. Please, be a little less self-righteous.
Yes, did you hear those things, my dear people? In this clip, the Honorable Prime Minister said, and I quote, "I don't know if anybody can impute improper motive in relation to an active politician that they play in politics," end of quote. Wow. So the Prime Minister is saying that active politics is an excuse to mislead the House of Parliament and speak untruths about others. After all, Minister Caesar was saying that, he was implying that we are against Skinny Fabulous. He's a young man, and it's sad when people have to speak against a young man who's advancing with his music and culture, etc. And I stood up and said, no, you're imputing improper motives, because that's not the issue. The issue is, did the board know about the spending before? So what the Prime Minister did when he said those things, he's insinuating that there should be no such rule in the standing orders concerning imputing improper motives, since all the parliamentarians are active politicians. So if active politicians shouldn't complain about imputing improper motives, then it means that rule shouldn't be in the book, in the standing orders for us to use. He's watering down the seriousness and the importance of the House of Assembly and its work by encouraging substandards and politicking, which often defeats the purpose of the House and its work. But take a look yet, or rather listen to this third clip.
Mr. Speaker, the question as to whether or not the sum was included in the annual business plan. The business plan for the financial year 2010 made provision for marketing and promotion. The video must at all times be seen as a promotional tool. If I may just give a humble example. A few weeks ago, I was in North London. I received a call from a general manager in the Grenadines telling me about a criminal activity which had taken place affecting some guests. I cut my vacation a bit short, came home. The honorable member for the Southern Grenadines was at a meeting that I attended the Sunday. Now, you can't find in any business plan or any budgetary tool anywhere that a ticket is to be bought for the minister to travel to the Grenadines to attend this function. What you see is the general rubric of traveling.